Welcome to RP Revenge.
The room smelled of burnt coffee and resentment. That cheap, bitter scent clung to the corners of the boardroom like an unwanted truth no one dared to say aloud. I sat at the far end of the polished table, staring at the reflection of my own trembling fingers against the dark wood as Mr. Langston, our CEO, clicked through a glossy PowerPoint filled with numbers I had built. Numbers that had made us number one in the market for the first time in the company's 40-year history. Billions in revenue. My strategies. My campaigns. My sleepless nights. And then, the sentence that changed everything. Given the recent restructuring, we'll need to make some difficult adjustments to compensation. It was said casually, like he was commenting on the weather. I remember blinking just once, as if my brain refused to process it. Adjustments. My heart thudded hard enough to drown out the hum of the projector. When he reached my name on the slide, I saw the red arrow pointing down. 15% pay cut. While everyone else at the table got bonuses. The laughter around me was polite, restrained, like a funeral where no one wanted to be the first to cry. My throat burned. I forced a small smile. Sorry, that must be a mistake. Langston didn't even look at me. No mistake, Ava. The board felt leadership roles needed realignment. You're invaluable, but given your positions overlap with new initiatives, your salary adjustment is final. Invaluable, he said while cutting my pay. Everyone stared. No one spoke. When the meeting ended, I sat frozen. My colleagues avoided my eyes as they filed out, some awkward, some relieved it wasn't them. Only Jenna, my assistant, whispered, "Ava, I'm so sorry." I just nodded. I didn't trust myself to speak. The drive home blurred into streaks of red taillights and rain. My mind replayed Langston's smirk over and over, like a broken reel of film. The man had built his entire public image on my work, the visionary CEO whose innovative marketing division had disrupted the industry. He'd been the one to shake my hand on stage at the annual gala last month, whispering, "Couldn't have done it without you." And now, just like that, I was a liability to realign. That night I didn't cry. Couldn't. I just stared at the ceiling fan spinning above me, whispering the same question to the dark. Why do they always think they can take from women who build everything for them? Over the next few days, whispers followed me. Meetings without invitations. Memos I never received. Jenna told me HR had been reassigned under a new VP, Langston's nephew, fresh from business school. And then I saw the press release. Langston Dynamics appoints new head of strategic growth. Daniel Reeves. Daniel. The golden boy from finance. The one who'd flirted his way through every project, conveniently attaching his name to my successes. I still remember his smug voice at the coffee machine weeks earlier. "Face it, Ava, you make the ideas, I make them happen. Perfect combo." He'd winked. I'd laughed it off. Now he was in my role. My pay grade. Higher. The betrayal hit me like a second wave. Not just Langston's corporate greed, but Daniel's silent knife between my ribs. He'd known. He must have. I tried to focus on my tasks, to act unbothered, but something inside me cracked. Every spreadsheet, every slide, every polite corporate phrase began to feel like poison. Until that morning, Langston called me into his office. He smiled, wide and false, the kind that shows too many teeth. "Ava, we really appreciate your transition support during this leadership change." "Transition?" Yes. He gestured toward Daniel, sitting across from him with that lazy confidence. "Daniel's team will be taking over your division. We'd like you to move into a consultative role, temporary of course. 6 months. My breath hitched. "Temporary?" Langston nodded. "You'll be helping Daniel get up to speed." Helping. The air in the room seemed to vanish. I stared at Daniel, waiting for him to say something. Anything. He just smiled small tight. The kind that said I won. My mouth went dry. "You want me to train the man who replaced me?" Langston chuckled softly. "Come on, Ava. Don't make this emotional. It's business." That word, business. hit harder than any insult. I stood up slowly, feeling something inside me harden. You're right, Mr. Langston. It is business. And business, I decided, was about to become very personal. For the next 2 weeks, I played the part perfectly. Smiled. I attended meetings. I answered Daniel's condescending questions with grace. I mentored him while quietly noting every mistake he made, every number he fudged, every shortcut he took. He was reckless, lazy, entitled. And Langston, blinded by ego, didn't notice any of it. But I did. I began collecting data. Not company data. People data. Patterns. Internal memos. Transaction trails. Daniel had been diverting client bonuses into consulting fees. Langston had signed off on executive gifts for business relations. That didn't exist. The deeper I dug, the darker it got. Millions, maybe tens of millions, of revenue misallocated under creative accounting. And all of it under Daniel's department. One night, Jenna came to my apartment. "You're playing with fire," she whispered. "If they find out you're accessing those files." "I'm not leaking," I said calmly. "I'm documenting." "Why?" she asked. I looked at her. "Because they took everything I built. And I'm not going to let them rewrite the story." She didn't speak for a long moment. Then she said quietly, "Just be careful." The night before the board's annual audit, I sent an email, anonymous, encrypted, to the company's biggest client, Wexler Holdings, the one responsible for nearly half our yearly revenue. Attached. Documents. Ledger trails. Screenshots. Proof. Subject line. Fraudulent billing activities. Urgent review required. Then I waited. The next morning, Langston's face was white as chalk. Wexler had suspended their contract, effective immediately. An investigation was underway. By noon, the entire office was chaos. Executives whispering, phones ringing, security walking Daniel out with a box of his things. Langston avoided me all day. Until 4:37 p.m. Ava in my office. "Now." His voice shook. When I walked in, he was pacing, red-faced. "Do you have any idea what this means? They pulled $45 million in contracts. We could go under." Kept my tone even. "Maybe they don't like working with dishonest partners." He slammed his hand on the desk. "Don't play games with me. You had access to those reports. Was this you?" I tilted my head, meeting his furious eyes. "Mr. Langston, you said it yourself. It's not personal. It's business." His mouth opened, then closed. He looked at me like he was finally seeing something he hadn't before. Fear. And that's when I smiled. The kind that said, "I won't forget what you did." That night, I drove past the glowing company sign one last time. The letters flickered against the rain-soaked glass like ghosts of something already gone. 8 years of loyalty, of late nights, of believing in merit and fairness. But the ruins left behind, those were mine to shape. And I wasn't finished. Not yet. The morning after the collapse, my inbox was a graveyard of panicked messages. Words like urgent, crisis, and unprecedented filled the subject lines like a requiem. I sipped my coffee slowly, the steam rising between my fingers, and thought about how quiet everything felt. The kind of quiet that only follows after a storm you started yourself. I wasn't fired, not yet. Langston couldn't afford to lose me, not with the auditors crawling over every inch of his empire. He needed someone who knew the systems, the structure, the language of his chaos. So, for the first time in 8 years, I was untouchable. Or at least, that's what he thought. In the weeks that followed, I played my final game. Patient, invisible, and devastatingly precise. Langston tried to repair the damage, but the rot had gone too deep. Every attempt to reassure the board only revealed more corruption, more falsified reports, more dirty footprints leading back to him and Daniel. He started calling me into his office daily, desperate for control. "Ava," he'd bark, "we need a recovery plan. We can still pivot, restructure, refocus, whatever you call it. You're good at that. I'd nod politely, take my notes and leave. Then I'd quietly send everything, every conversation, every half-truth, every whispered panic, to the forensic auditors. Anonymous tips. Signed under fake aliases. The truth wasn't just coming out. I was feeding it oxygen. One evening, Jenna found me still at my desk. She looked worried, eyes darting around like we were being watched. "Ava, people are saying Langston's lawyering up," she whispered. "The board's split. Some want him gone. Others think the leaks came from inside." I smiled faintly. "Inside? That's a bold assumption." She frowned. "You're not scared?" I looked up from my laptop, my voice calm but hollow. "Fear's a luxury you lose the moment you're betrayed." She didn't say anything after that. Just squeezed my shoulder, like she wanted to comfort me but wasn't sure who she was comforting anymore. The investigation dragged into winter. The media caught scent of the scandal. Langston Dynamics under fire for financial misconduct. Headlines with phrases like, "Company once worth billions faces collapse," ran daily. Langston's face appeared on every screen. Ashen, furious, unraveling. And through it all, I stayed silent. He called me late one night, his voice raw. "Ava, I need you. Please. You're the only one who understands this company. I can fix it, I just need time." The irony almost made me laugh. The same man who told me, "Don't make this emotional," now spoke like a drowning man begging for air. "Time's the one thing you don't have, Mr. Langston," I said softly. "You should have thought of that before you cut me." He didn't reply. I heard his breath catch, then the dull click of the line going dead. But revenge, I learned, doesn't heal. For all the satisfaction of watching his empire crumble, there were nights I'd wake up sweating, heart pounding, whispering, what if I became just like them? I'd look in the mirror and barely recognize the woman staring back. Her eyes colder, sharper. A version of me shaped by betrayal, sculpted by rage. That's the part no one talks about. Revenge changes you too. By January the company was done. Wexler terminated all partnerships. 2 other clients followed. The board forced Langston to resign under health reasons, though everyone knew what that meant. Daniel tried to disappear. He couldn't. The auditors found his offshore account, and he was charged for embezzlement. Langston wasn't far behind. And me. I got a call from a private equity firm that had once been our rival. They wanted me to head their global division. "The way you handled the fallout," the recruiter said, "shows remarkable resilience." Resilience. That's what they called it. Accepted. 3 months later, I was in my new corner office. Sunlight spilling across the glass walls. Everything was sleek, quiet, and expensive. But beneath the success I felt empty. Because in destroying Langston, I'd also destroyed the part of myself that believed in fairness. The night before the official announcement of Langston Dynamics bankruptcy, I drove to the old office one last time. The sign was half torn down. A few lights still flickered inside, ghosts of ambition fading into dust. I parked and walked toward the entrance. Security guards didn't stop me, they recognized me. Maybe they thought I was there to salvage something. In a way I was. The elevator smelled of stale air and cleaner. As the doors opened onto the deserted floor, I saw Langston sitting alone in his office, surrounded by boxes. He looked smaller somehow. When he saw me, he laughed, a bitter, cracked sound. "Come to see the kingdom fall." I stepped inside. Came to see if there was anything left worth saving. He leaned back, eyes tired. "You got what you wanted. You ruined me." I met his gaze. "You ruined yourself." He smiled faintly. "You think you're different from me, Ava? You just wear your ambition better." The word stung more than I expected. Because maybe, deep down, he wasn't entirely wrong. I turned to leave, then paused at the door. "You once told me it was just business," I said quietly. "But that's the lie, isn't it? It's always personal." And then I walked away. A month later, the news broke. Langston had suffered a heart attack. He didn't survive. I stared at the headline on my phone for a long time, feeling nothing. Or maybe too much of everything all at once. Guilt, anger, relief, exhaustion. I closed the screen, whispered to the empty room. Rest in peace. Though I wasn't sure if it was for him or for the version of me that once believed in loyalty. That evening, I sat by my window watching the city lights blink like restless stars. My reflection shimmered against the glass. Stronger, sharper, but lonelier. Revenge had given me justice. But justice had taken my peace. Still, if I had the chance to go back, would I have done it differently? I thought about every night I'd cried alone after that meeting. Every time I'd been dismissed, silenced, taken for granted. Well, I wouldn't change a thing. Because sometimes the only way to rebuild yourself is to burn down the empire that broke you.